election.
I call Dennis O'Rourke.
Mr Chairman, I wanted to talk about sections 14, 27 and Schedule 2. First of all, regarding section 14, in my previous speech I referred to subsection 3, in which there is a prescription for an official description of the current New Zealand flag. And I was saying that it actually needs a lot more than that. It needs information for people, especially young people, but all people, on the history and heritage of the current flag. I think it should be explained to people that it is not just by coincidence that we have this flag. It wasn't just something somebody dreamed up because it looked nice. It actually has a lot of history and heritage with it. It has components. First of all, the Union Jack. A lot of people don't even know what the Union Jack is, that it's actually three other flags put together: St Patrick's flag, a red diagonal on a white background for Ireland, the English St George's flag, an upright red cross on a white background, and the Scottish flag, St Andrew's flag, a white diagonal on a blue background. A lot of people don't even know that. But also they don't know why there are 4 stars on a blue background. The Pacific blue background and the 4 stars of the Southern Cross representing the Maori navigators who first discovered New Zealand for the human race. All of that heritage should also be explained because it is important. A flag does need to represent what a country is and not just be a pretty design. And Mr Chairman, I also wanted to speak about section 27 because that refers to the method of voting, and section 27(1)(a) says that an elector must mark the voting paper by expressing a first preference for option 1 and in B may express other preferences as well. But nowhere is it possible for anyone to express no preference for any of the 4 options. No, people simply don't get that choice, and they should. The point I'm making is there should be provision for people to say, I don't want any of these 4 flags, and for that to be recorded and for that to be made public, because that is actually important. I think it's very important, and it should say that. It's a real shame that it does not. In any event, and I agree with Mr Robertson on this, a lot of people are going to make a mess of that particular first referendum ballot because it isn't clear what people should say. So some people will also wrongly believe that even if they don't want any of those 4 preferences, that they must choose one. Some people will think that, and they will wrongly choose one when they need not do so. So I think there's a real problem with understanding as far as the first ballot is concerned. Referring to the second referendum ballot, which is in Schedule 2 of the bill, the question there is, what is your choice for the New Zealand flag? And there's an option A and an option B, one of which is the current New Zealand flag and the other the alternative chosen as a result of the first referendum. I think this question is the wrong question. It should say, for example, do you want to retain the current New Zealand flag, or do you want to have the alternative flag shown? Because that is actually the real choice. A lot of people, it's not just a choice between design or A and B. It is actually a choice between retaining the current flag, and it refers back to what I was saying before about the fact that the current flag has with it a lot of heritage and a lot of history. It represents a partnership between what was the British heritage of New Zealand, the British legal system, the Westminster style of government, the English language and so on, and the Pacific and Maori culture. And that partnership also is contained, of course, as we all know, in the Treaty of Waitangi. So the flag actually does represent New Zealand in terms of that bicultural culture and history. And okay, I admit also, and Nikki Kay made the point, that it is also a multicultural country. But the fundamental culture is that partnership, and that is what that flag represents. That isn't reflected in the voting paper for the second flag referendum as set out in Schedule 2. I believe to be accurate, it should.
Jamie Lee Ross.